John Shannon, the global ambassador, into the Tim and Sid studios. How you doing, John?
Hey, it's Friday. It's great.
Did you see Game 7?
When was that?
It was last night.
Oh, last night. Yeah, I did.
So good. Went so many overtimes.
It was. Well, I mean, it's just another night where the Stanley Cup Playoffs have not disappointed. I mean, we've seen how many nights like this? 38, 39 already? I mean, it's been just a phenomenal Stanley Cup year. Even Charles Barkley wants to be with us. You know, I thought, did you see him earlier last night?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier in the show.
Fantastic.
Gambling degenerate.
I'll tell you what. Well, hard to gamble on hockey, too, trust me.
You were poised with the task of doing it, so I have to ask you, because we had the conversation earlier about why Americans don't like when I watch last night and I see Charles Barkley and I hear Charles Barkley and I see the way that game is played and how long you're on the edge of your seat if you're even sitting in it. Mm-hmm. Why don't Americans love this game?
Because they don't understand it.
Yeah. What don't they understand?
Well, first of all, if you watch the other three major sports, baseball, which they've played since they were 3,
yep,
whether they started at T-ball, or football that is larger than a puck, or a basketball, you know, we don't, like the three of us, even though 2 of us have a bad pair of glasses, by the way, we don't see the puck. We don't see the puck all the time. And I think that there's a real perception in the United States that you have to see the puck all the time. What we see is flow. We see the flow of the players. We understand why that winger is going down that wing to go where the puck is supposed to be. We understand those nuances like they understand the nuances of baseball. We don't have better vision. We understand what happens and why. And I also think that we appreciate how difficult it is to do all of this on a 1/16 of an inch blade.
Yeah.
And so you combine those two things, where they don't know how to skate, mm-hmm, and B, they think that they have to be able to follow the puck. You're 0 for 2, and you're never going to convince the non-hockey market. Yeah. I mean, let's face it, Minnesota, Massachusetts, now New York.
Worked in Nashville, though.
It's taken a long time. And I'll tell you what, Tim, it's worked in Nashville for a hardcore hockey fan, but I'll bet you that club's never made money. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, San Jose has never made money.
Wow.
You know, so you wonder about it. Where they've done a really good job is the state of Texas, where the team invested heavily in the early years in building arenas and creating minor hockey, or as they say in the United States, youth hockey. I mean, from those perspectives, that's where the growth of the game is. And I say this out of total respect for a lot of people at USA Hockey. I think they've done just a horrendous job at trying to promote and grow the game the way Hockey Canada has done.
Can you say that with respect?
Well,
that sounded pretty disrespectful there, Johon.
That's as good as it's going to get, baby.
Closest thing to a mic drop I've ever seen you do.
No, what happens in the United States when it comes to the game is it becomes so territorial, and that's where the
like
growth.
Every other sport in Canada. Right?
Probably. And the politics of hockey in the United States are horrendous.
Right.
Well, the politics of hockey in this country are horrendous too, but we fight through it. So the game doesn't grow. I mean, look at the stuff we had to go through in watching what the American women had to do to get paid. Yeah. I mean, the game, in so many ways, at so many levels, has always succeeded in spite of itself. And right now in the United States and in Nashville, there are days that it's succeeding in spite of itself.
Well, it succeeded last night.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And terrific numbers.
I didn't mean to bring it down that road. I'm just really curious. I am curious.
But you know, you look at the city of St. Louis, where you know, former NHLers are now retired and living.
Yeah.
And contributing to the minor hockey programs. And now look at all these kids coming out of minor hockey in St. Louis. I mean, and that's where you need the growth. That's where you need to be able to do it. And all of a sudden, St. Louis becomes a hockey town. You know, so
Patrick Maroon.
We need, you know, from a, you know, I still in many ways keep my league hat on. We need 22 of those things to happen. You know, I mean, we can't live in the fact and talk about Brian and Joey Mullen and Hell's Kitchen and roller skating, you know, roller hockey for 30 years. We've got to be better than that.
So keep your league hat on for a moment, because I like that hat. If you're Gary Bettman
fedora.
right now, it's a fedora.
That's a fedora,
It's a nice fedora.
By the way, I look really good in a fedora.
League hat, whatever hat it is, fedora.
It's a fedora.
Want to throw another hat in there?
Boston poor boy.
Kentucky Derby hat.
A tam?
Whatever hat you're wearing.
A tam?
A tam.
What are those are called?
The tam? Is that what it is?
No, a Hogan. That's it. I call that a Hogan.
Hogan, yeah.
That's an old reference, kids. If you're Gary Bettman, do you like this final in your American TV market? Are you happy
I
with
like
this
half
final?
of it. I like half of it.
You like the Pittsburgh side?
I like the Pittsburgh side.
Why not the Nashville side? But the city's bursting at the seams, it sounds
And you
like.
get a little
no?
kind of a hip cosign from all the country
Yeah.
kids.
I think that's the one residual fact that might, when you see Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, particularly Nicole Kidman, at the hockey games.
Easy.
I mean,
Easy driving.
that's great. I mean, and you have people wondering who's going to sing the anthem at Game 3. Like who should it be? Who's it going to be? When's Carey showing up again? I mean, those are important things to have the non-hardcore fan. I mean, hardcore fans in the United States are fantastic. They are more passionate in many ways than most Canadian hockey fans because they only know about their own team. They don't think they know a lot about the whole game. But it's getting beyond that group, that small group. It's like when you were kids and when I was a teenager, we used to talk about the attendance at Chicago Stadium was 16,666 because that's all the hockey fans there were in Chicago. Well, you know what? That's been proved false now because the Hawks have actually. You can watch them on TV, and the Hawks have won.
Yeah.
And now it's become the hockey market in the United States.
How come in Canada PK Subban seems to be a controversial topic, but they gravitate towards him in the United States?
Because he's just a darn good player. And I think that's all we worry about is darn good players. I mean, it goes back. I think it's bigger than PK because I think it goes to why players do or don't want to play in a Canadian market. Yeah. Do you want to live in the fishbowl?
Yeah.
Do you want to live in this where you can't go to the local mall or you can't go out to dinner with your wife or your girlfriend or both?
Heyo.
And enjoy yourself without.
Sorry, honey.
No, but without
I disagree with everything you just said.
Yeah, but without being bothered. Yeah. I mean, Joe Sakic, who, let's face it, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Joe Sakic loved playing in Denver because he could walk down the street at any time and no one would ever stop him.
He hates GMing in Denver now.
Well, he has for a while.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever really wanted to be the GM. So when you look at Joe Sakic, if he had to walk down the street in his hometown of Vancouver, he couldn't have. It would have been awful.
It's like you walking down the street.
Similar.
Not really, but that's
close.
okay. No,
Similar.
only when I walk up to my local pub.
Burnaby, look out.
You're going to Burnaby. This
You go to
guy.
Burnaby, look
Hey,
out.
you're going to Burnaby.
No, it's
Johnny Fedora.
It's Burnaby Joe, not Burnaby John. Okay.
Stanley Cup Final begins Monday. Lots to talk about, Mr. Shannon.
Hey, always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
John Shannon, a.k.a. Johnny Fedora.